Welcome to the Homeschool Mom Chat. Today we're going to talk about creativity and flow and how it can fuel our homeschool mom life. So I get to chat with a gal from Unschooling and Thriving, and I don't want to mispronounce her name, so I'm going to ask her how she pronounces her name. It's a beautiful name. And I'm going to invite her to come have a chat with us, I believe Cyril. And we're going to talk about creativity and flow, how to create space in our homeschool to actually join me in a conversation with Cyril. I took a guess there. Tell me how I should pronounce your
Oh,
name.
you pronounce it well. I mean,
Good?
like the way in English we pronounced, like the French way is harder for people, but like cereal is the right way to say it in the English way, I guess.
Beautiful. Thank you for clicking that. So tell me, okay, so I think we met somewhere on Instagram in the last year or two, and
Yeah.
I that you are creative, natural creative, although I think everybody is creative, but you are focused in would you say watercolors, words, and publications, or how would you describe your creative self?
Yeah, watercolor. I started painting about 3 years and a half. I started I mean, obviously we all painted, right? Like at school and stuff. So it's something we've all done. But like I really started getting back into actual choosing to do it for myself 3.5 years ago. And yeah,
Mm,
it's been my main creativity thing that I do. I do crochet, but I feel like it's creative, but it's a bit different. Like I feel like watercolor really gets to tap into my creativity and just let kind of in a flow space and kind of create with colors and stuff. So yeah.
beautiful. I always loved Monet. And I mean, it's cliche, but I really always loved Monet to the point that I have named my bed and breakfast Giverny of the Mountains.
Ah,
And I painted all of the rooms based on colors in his pond or his garden, and I just love it. Who do you love as an impression?
well, it's funny because like watercolor, I feel like there's not that many painters that are very well known.
Mhm.
But like Monet, it's funny because I was talking to my daughter about him. I don't know when it was. I don't know if we saw like a lily pad or something like sparked I talk about Monet, and then so we looked at it and like where he lived, and so yeah, and in Giverny, so it's funny that you mentioned that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have like any favorite. I remember like there's a few French ones because when we were at school, I remember like we studying them. So like I remember Matisse and like Picasso is not French, but like so all of these like is the ones that we were talking about. We came upon a French woman painter called Rosa Bonheur, which I had never heard of, and we read it through a book, and she just like she was painting like animals and like the very like realistic animals,
Mhm.
and she had to go through like lots of hurdles because she was a woman. And at the time, I can't remember what time she was like painting, but like it was hard. So she had to like pretend to be a man to enter like places and stuff. So it was again like it's interesting. I think that notion of like the women may not be as well known, not because they wouldn't paint, but because it was harder for them to get known and to get recognized. And we like Frida Kahlo too, like her. We read a bit about her too, so we do. I do like her too, but like I don't have any specific like artists in mind. I just follow a few people like on Instagram or like YouTube that I like what they do, but like not someone like kind of I would say like a classical painter that we like what everybody knows, right?
Yes. So I'm curious. You also are writing, or you're compiling other people's writing into a magazine. Would you tell me about that?
Oh yeah, so it's funny, like I'm sure it's the same for you. Like there's always ideas popping up for us and when like creative ideas and I don't know how it came about. I just had that idea. Oh yeah, because I was thinking, oh maybe I should write articles for other magazines, but there's not that many magazines uh around homeschooling. I felt like there's a few magazines like on wellness that talk about homeschooling. So you'll see some magazines talking about homeschooling, but like one that is completely about homeschooling, I couldn't find any and I was like, oh maybe we should just make one. So I just thought, yeah, it would be great to have that homeschool, but also that wellness element that is centered around the mom instead of
Mm.
centering just on homeschooling. So like curriculum, which is what you will find as well. Like a lot of the things you find online or like kind of magazines and stuff are more focused on that.
Yes.
Whereas I wanted it to be focused on the mom and her well-being.
Yeah.
So like yeah, I kind of found I've wrote a few articles and then I got people to write on different topics that were like important for me to talk about.
Beautiful. So is the intention the creative element, or is it building community, or is what is your hope before or behind it?
My intention is for moms to have like some sort of space of like instead of social media where everything is fast and quick and short and you have to be on your phone. I wanted something that they could sit and just take 10 minutes for themselves and read on something that could nourish them, whether it's about like the menstrual cycle, about creativity, like in general, or about certain hobbies, or like even reading stories. So like the main story in the magazine this month, like this summer, is about a mom that I know. That's the first unschooling mom I ever met.
Mm.
And I knew she had gone through burnouts, several burnouts. And I knew her story was very powerful because she took a big leap and she moved away. So like there was like lots of big elements. And I felt like that's something that could be really interesting for other moms to read about because it's something that we all need to know that it's something that can happen and
Mhm.
what can we do to actually prevent it. And so that her story is very big. It's like 6 pages basically of her answering some question and just explaining everything she went through basically.
I love that. One of the very first things that I wrote for was a parenting magazine in a town that I used to live in. And I was just thrilled that I was writing in it. But this mom, she was a young mom of two little kids. And I got to learn what it was like to actually put for her, it was like a print magazine together every month. And it was next level effort. So
Mm.
I know about that. I don't know what your experience is, but how do you find the time? Because I can guarantee you, most moms are not saying, yeah, I'll put a magazine together in my spare time. They're not saying that. They're just, where are my 15 minutes to just sit and just think two thoughts in a row?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. It's like it took a while to put together, but I guess like every moment that I had time, like doing my business in Dink is like fills my cup too. Like it's something that I really enjoy doing. So like that's one of the things that I would do. That's also creative. So for me, like to just to think about how to organize the magazine. My husband did help, so he did a lot of the design. So like he worked a lot on the designing process and like how to put the pages and the pictures and stuff. But I did like do a lot too. But just anytime I could find, and when my daughter is like busy doing things, then I would just be doing that. Like it's yeah, like the month prior to it was like very intense of like finding things and then getting everyone to give their submissions and all of that. So, but I loved it. I just loved just
Yeah.
creating all of it, even though it was like very time consuming. But it's like you have a purpose, right? Like you have something you're aiming towards, and that's what guided me basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Outside of your role as mom. And that was not something I appreciated when my kids were young. In fact, I probably would have spoiled if somebody said, do something outside of your mom role. But what I've learned after coaching many, many people and also obviously doing my homeschool mom life, and my fourth and youngest child is almost graduated. I've learned that you need to find your voice, your separate voice as a woman, as a separate person outside of a mom role. So I'm curious, and how has creativity helped you rediscover you or your voice?
I love what you're saying because it is like it's true that like, I mean, it might not be the case for a lot of people, but I feel like when we start homeschooling, we want to dedicate all of ourselves
Yeah,
to that, and we lose ourselves
yeah,
basically because we think that's what we have to do. And yeah, it took a while, and I think that's creativity helped me get out of just doing that and just the focus on being on just my daughter and just forgetting that I was there too. Like I was a mom, but I'm also me, and I also love certain things, and I don't have to just do that. Some moms just want to be mom, and they love it, and it's just for them, it's their like purpose. But for me, I felt like something else needed to happen, and yeah, the creativity, just starting dabbing with watercolor and just being in a bubble of creation just helped me find something else to do, reconnect with myself, and just yeah, feeling like I was not just a mom, but I could just have fun and paint and do something for me. Yeah.
yeah, that was my experience too. I took it to a cafe on Wednesday nights. It was Starbucks actually, but I to a cafe, and it wasn't like clockwork, but it was a practice. And it just helped me put all my thoughts on paper. Now, I mean, I started a blog in my early homeschool days, and I've continued to write on that blog for like almost 2 decades. And I can see where I was at mentally all along the journey. It fueled me though. After a while, it wasn't just about dumping my thoughts on paper and distancing myself from my thoughts and getting clear on what was going on up here, but it was also about me developing something outside of my role as of mother, which it doesn't always seem intuitive when you're young and when you're fully new to the homeschool thing. But gradually, if you don't see this early on, you will feel like there's something else, which is a beautiful pull to the next stage of your life. Because the truth is, your kids will grow up and they will launch, and you will not be homeschooling. Well, you could be homeschooling the neighbors' kids, but you won't be homeschooling forever. And so, or I know there's one friend here who has fostered kids as well, which
Mm.
hats for her. But there's various stories, but most people move on and do something else.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do next? Because the next stage will come.
Oh, that's a great question because I don't really think about that. I mean, my daughter is like, she's gonna be 9, so she's still pretty young, right? But yeah, it's something I haven't thought about at all. But I think would probably launch myself more deep into like the work I'm doing with moms because homeschooling and unschooling is not something that's gonna, go away. And I mean, that's what you're doing, right? Because your children are almost, all gone, as you said, like your last one is graduated. So yeah, I think so. I'm not sure. Like it's so far away. I don't really think far in advance. Like for me, I don't know if it's like it gives me anxiety or something. I don't know, but like it's not something that I feel like time goes so fast that I'm just trying to right now enjoy what I can do
Do that.
and just try and balance, right? Like between being that mom and trying to do that because I do enjoy doing something else on
Mm-hmm.
the side and it just brings me joy and just thinking maybe I'll continue that probably, and then maybe more activism. I don't know, like something where I can really go deep that I can't really do now. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
maybe just something that I can't do now with more
Yeah,
time.
natural transition. And by no means do I bring it up to make people wonder, like, okay, what am I going to do? Um,
No, for sure.
at it. It's often off the radar. But as time goes by, it builds, it grows, it gets clearer. Just like when you watch your child move into adolescence, and it's an uncomfortable tension where you know that they're supposed to grow up and they're not necessarily going to think everything you think, but it's uncomfortable watching this child who you nurtured and essentially made them or enabled them to live and continue living in this world, doing all the things to support them, and then they move toward themselves and away from you. They individuate, and it's uncomfortable to say the least.
Mm,
So that happens naturally, and it's as it should be, but it's uncomfortable. And the same thing with us. We get to a place where we realize, I think they're going to leave. I think they're going to grow up and they're going to leave. And then what? And then what do I do? So just, we don't have to stay in that space right now, but it is something that happens to everyone.
yeah.
And so, but let's switch gears a bit. And I'm curious, do you remember a time your creative practice actually helped you heal emotionally or physically or mentally? Because that's something
Yeah.
for myself.
Yeah, I think like I feel like when I create, so when I'm more intentional, like that's what I like saying, like the practice. When I'm
Hmm.
intentional with my practice, when I try and practice as often as I can, so if I can every day painting, I do notice that I'm a lot calmer. I can respond with more patience, with more calm, more presence. I do feel like it's kind of helping me soothe my nervous system. That's something that I've noticed
Yeah.
quite early on, and I was like, wow, something so simple as
So simple.
so
Hmm.
like it's so simple. Like you don't need to do like a huge thing, and you're like, wow, like the profound effect that it can have on yourself, and just like the ripple effects on your life that it happens if you do that regularly. I feel like if it's a one-off, it will still have benefits, but I feel like it's a continuous, just intentional practice of going back to this. So like your body feels the effects on
Yes.
a regular basis
Hmm.
and it's just soothing, right? Like it's healing to your body, to what it went through uh when throughout the years where you didn't take care of yourself, right? So it's just like it's just, yeah, it's balm for the soul.
I just released an episode with Julie Bogart, a conversation with Julie. And there was one point we were speaking about writing as a healing practice. And I know it from experience because I've got the story that I've got from childhood. And there was a lot of trauma. And I have rewritten my memoir so many times. And I didn't know what I was doing other than thinking there has to have purpose and meaning ultimately. And as I've continued to write, I recognize one thing that I didn't know I was doing, and it is creating distance between me and my story, so much so that I could hold it differently and it not internalize it the same way. So then I was able to have distance, and I was also able to rewrite the story in my head, not just on paper, that's easy, but actually in my head.
Yeah. The writing is it's powerful for sure because it's like emptying yourself, and it's not just the weight is not just inside of you and on you. It's like you've kind of liberated, right?
Yes,
That
liberate.
weight that you might have inside of you, and just it's there. It's still part of you, but it's not just, it's kind of, yeah, you're removing it
Yes.
a little bit. Yeah.
When you say liberate, so I created this construct, which I call flow, and I don't think I'm using it in the same context as flow, the way that a lot of the people writing presently refer to it. But the F is really finding your voice, like we were just speaking to. But the L is about that liberation. It's about listening within. And I find that just merely spending time listening within is part of the freedom that shifts inside of you. And it sounds like you said before, it's too simple. Like it's too simple just to stop and listen, or put your words onto paper. Or I don't think it just has to be a creative writing practice, but it's my default setting. So I know women in our collective talk about crocheting
Mhm.
and meditative. I saw Michelle Obama talk about that in her book, Becoming, and she was talking about crocheting and, or watercolor. There's so many different ways to do it, but ultimately, there's allowing ourselves to just be and listen within.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. It's that the listening to that voice, so that maybe it's even your inner child saying, oh, shall we try that? Like it's trying out, right? Playing and seeing if it helps us or if we like it, or it's just, and making mistakes, right? It's okay. That's that, I think we get stopped by that perfectionism of like, surely I can't paint, or I can't write,
Yeah.
or I can do this, because it's simple, but at the same time, because of school, maybe wounds and stuff, that we are worried to create something that could be judged,
Yes. That's
or that could be, like they have that someone may say something that we feel rejected from it. Like
yeah.
that's, I think that's such a big thing that stops us from being creative.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you bring that up, and then I go into three different directions in my head, but I'll shift to the most obvious one for me, and it is the O of flow, which is owning what matters. And when we listen within, when we're finding our voice, we're listening within, we own what matters. We actually say, okay, but is this really me? Like, am I a writer? Am I a creative? Okay, that's one. Most people say, no, I'm not that creative.
Mhm.
But you know really owning whatever the creativity is and allowing ourselves to lean into practicing it. And when you practice something often enough, you get confident in it because you know that you can do that. Like homeschooling, frankly, this discussion is about homeschooling too, or
Yeah,
unschooling, whatever you want to talk about. But when we keep doing the thing often enough, we gain confidence in it by doing
yeah.
it.
Yeah, confidence is such a key element for anything. And as you said, like homeschooling, like if you have a deep confidence in your choice and whatever you decided to, nothing should shake it. Like doesn't matter what people will say. And I think that's what it comes to, is always other people's judgments or other people's opinions, or like, unsolicited advice that you might receive. Like I'm thinking of homeschooling, like that people will just decide that they can tell whatever they want to you. But like it's just learning to build that wall, like I don't care about what people say, and that for creativity, just create without any expectation or perfectionism. And there's a book that I haven't read, but I want to read it, that came out recently. It's called Make Your Art, I think. Her name is Amy McNee, I think. And yeah, so it's like basically kind of pushing us to create no matter what, like not worrying about anything.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's her account, I think, is inspired to write. She did like she has like written books and stuff, but like she talks about a lot about like creativity and just creating for the sake of creating and just for us and without any care about anyone, you know.
that's beautiful. I like how you do some of your reels, or some of the things you made in content, which is very much that energy. That's what I hear from your account as well. And I mean, I know how tricky it is, especially when you're new to really owning your voice. If you're owning your voice, it means that you're not owning other people's voices, and that you are essentially turning the mute button, or at least turning down the volume on other people's voices. And as much as our creative activities invite us to own our voices and turn down the volume on other people's voices, it's also when we're homeschooling, we get an opportunity to turn down the voices of other people, and that actually has universal effects on all of our choices and all of our activities. We become more confident in owning our voice or doing the thing that matters to us because we keep practicing it, not because we wait for someone in the stands to agree and cheerlead us on, have everybody we ever knew agree that this homeschool thing was just chef's kiss. This is the
Yeah.
perfect, wow, we don't wait for that.
Yeah, no, that's true. I love that. And also I think like when you're surrounded by people who are also on the same path,
Hmm.
that also has an impact. So like you have to surround yourself with people who are going to be cheering up for you and are going to be doing the same or
Yes.
similar, but like someone who is not there to bring you down,
Yeah.
right? It's just so
Need
you
them.
ignore the voices that you don't want these voices, and so you build confidence, and then you also surround yourself by people who just know that that path is, you know, the path that you want to take, and it's the right one for you.
Yeah, that's right. Are there certain books that you read about creativity? Like you were saying, there is a book that you're looking to read, but are there any you recommend?
So the one that I recommend that I read probably about when I started, I mean, I listened to the audiobook, but it's Big Magic, I
Ah,
think. Yeah.
I love it.
Uh, yeah, I'm assuming you've read it because she's an author too,
Oh,
right? So like for as a writer, yeah, that's the one I feel like is just so, yeah, it's liberating again, that word, like just to, yeah. And then she's, I mean, if you listen to the audiobook, she's super entertaining too. Like it's just so nice to listen to her and just explain everything. And yeah, it's great.
yeah. Yeah, she's actually, that book I have on one of my homeschool reading lists, but specifically for personal growth, not obviously just homeschooling. But Elizabeth Gilbert is just hilarious, and just, yeah, she's inspirational. No,
Yeah. No, and it applies to any type of creativity as well, which I love because I mean she's a writer, right? So she also talks about the writing process and stuff. But like
yeah,
for me as doing watercolor, it just helped me kind of get unstuck with just create already, right? Like just do it. Just don't worry.
don't over,
Like do it.
yeah, or
Yeah, exactly. Don't overthink it. I think we underthink, just underthink your creativity, right? Like just
yeah,
do it.
yeah. And it's interesting because when I first started writing on my blog, I was terrified that people were going to read it, which sounds confusing. But I pressed publish, and then I was like, oh no, people might read it. And it was only about a little, just, it was a time we went to volunteer at the local library on St. Patrick's Day. It was, there was nothing more than that and a few photos. And yet I was so nervous about that. And I just think it would be liberating for everybody, including our kids, if when we decide to acknowledge that this is who I really am. Cue the "This Is Me" song by The Greatest Showman, my favorite song. Um, this is us. This is me. This is who I am.
Yeah.
And when we do that, we actually we're more comfortable with other people being fully them, and we invite it. We're curious about it. We want them to do their thing. And we want that for our kids when we have that energy for ourselves. So I see it as like a profoundly beneficial energy too.
Yeah, and generally our kids like naturally they will. I mean, it depends, you know, if they're neurodivergent or other type of brain difference, but like sometimes that like they start like that. They start, being sure about who they are, and then school might, get into the way, or like just they might observe things, and then they might, but like I think like it's in them, and if we let them be, if it's just them, it's okay to be you and
Mhm.
just fully you, and it's okay, right? Like it's if we model it as well, but just like allowing them, like we can, if we can allow ourselves to be to what we allow our kids to be as well, because that's what we do in homeschooling, right? We let them go at their own rhythm,
Yeah.
be themselves, and yeah, it's a great, like for us, it's a great tool to do it to ourselves, because sometimes we do it for our children, but not for ourselves.
Yeah. And
But I
some,
relate.
yeah,
Sorry, go for it.
I think we actually are doing it for our kids sometimes because that's what we actually want for our younger self.
Yeah, you're right. Like healing that part of us that we didn't get that acceptance when we were younger.
Yeah. And I think it's a beautiful, again, an opportunity in homeschooling to go down that path and ask ourselves, are we doing this for our kids or are we doing it for our younger 8-year-old self? And it's probably both. But when we identify that we're doing it for ourselves as well, yeah, it is actually really healing. Yeah. So many conversation points, right? Right. If I ever slow down, it means I'm thinking 6 things at the same
Oh
time.
yeah.
Do you ever notice that when your creativity is stifled, everything else feels more effortful?
Yes, that's true. Yeah, like it's, and I think it depends as women as well, like because I talk a lot about that too, like where we are at in a cycle can be like can have such an effect on anything like in
Yeah,
your life, and it's just being aware of that
yeah,
means that we don't have to be hard on ourselves. Like some moments we'll have more energy, we'll be more creative, we'll, you know, it's okay. We're just like it's not a linear thing. Like it just moves. We just we are cyclical beings, and it's not always the same. Like we are gonna be more creative. We have more energy, and we'll and then some moments it's gonna be harder. And like you were saying about sharing and then writing and then being seen, and I have that also some moments, like mainly before my period, like that autumn period where like you're more self-critical. I'll find it hard, and I'll second guess what I'm worrying about what I'm going to share. Like, is it going to be like the judgment part is going to be there too, even though I'm working on it, right? It's always ever so present because it's a long journey to work through this, but when we aware, I think it's less hard.
yeah.
It's just the awareness is like such a big, just a big start. Like it's the
It,
first step, being aware.
I actually always marvel at that, that self-awareness has such an impact. And it is just simply looking and noticing what your patterns are or how you're thinking or what you're experiencing. It's wild to me. It's so
Yeah,
simple, and yet
I know,
we,
it's like the simple things. There's no need to read 100 books, right? Like it's
yeah.
just started being aware and noticing things.
For everyone listening, I have a journal prompt for you if you're curious about this conversation about creativity. Um, and if you don't see yourself as creative, I I invite you to just look a little closer and say what energizes you, what really animates you, because somewhere there is your creativity. My husband, no, he's a INTJ Enneagram type 1. He's a man, and there's very much like a black and white-ish kind of energy, whereas I'm exactly the opposite. Of course, we're opposite, and yet his creativity and this might not sound like a piece of creativity, but is very much in policy. Like he actually reminds me of Barack Obama, and he's white. But he has that kind of energy about him, but he really thinks like that, and he's always thinking, taking pieces of information in and trying to process, how do I see this, and how could this work, or how could this be unpacked and actually be functional. And to me, that's not remotely on my creativity spectrum, but I believe that's creative. And so I invite you, whoever's listening, to just look at yourself and say, where am I animated or fueled or energized, or where do I come alive? Because your creativity is somewhere there. And I've seen for myself and other women that creativity is a path to our wholeness. And so, how could you incorporate some of that creativity in your homeschool mom life? I'm curious what you would say if someone said, I'm just not creative.
I've heard like lots of people say it, and it's because I think our idea of creativity, again, I think is linked to school and it's just art. I think that's when you talk about creativity, I think people just associate it with art and painting. And it's, yeah, it's so much more. Like my daughter is like, when she problem solves, for me, it's creativity. When like your husband, like when you problem solve and you think of different ways of doing something, it's
Yeah.
creative. You're doing something different and you're
Mhm.
thinking differently, and that's creative, right? And baking is creativity, like the ingredients you're going to use, right? Like the spices you're going to use, it's just creativity. There's so many woodwork, like anything that's, creating with your hands is creativity as well. Like it's just, and writing, like there's so many things that are not just like arts that people, I think that's what people might think.
Paint
But like,
with a brush.
yeah, or like dancing is creative too, like, right, like the arts like that. But yeah, there's a book actually that for people who like about drawing, that I bought it, I started reading it, and it's called I think drawing from the right side of the brain. Do you know that book?
Mark Kistler, right?
I
Is
can't
that
remember who wrote it. Like, I've got it. Like it's a big book, but I was like, it's. She said like anyone can draw, and and maybe it's cool again. Like just that thought that we can't draw, we can't paint, we're not creative, and it's because we think that we can do these things. But yeah, so I think it's bigger, but also anyone can paint. I
yes,
think, and anyone can be, and you don't. Again, it's because also that fear of I cannot paint like this painter, or like it's not gonna be the same as. Doesn't matter, right? Who
yeah.
says like it has to look like an artist, like a classic artist painting? Doesn't matter, right? Like anyone can just put paint on the paper, and it's being creative, right? But it's, I
Yeah.
think, yeah, there's a lot to unpack, I think, on that.
Well,
But
even the Impressionists, when they were coming out, they weren't accepted into the local galleries because that wasn't considered real painting. And, touche. That's not what they thought at the time. But now that's my favorite art period. So go
yeah,
figure. Yeah.
yeah,
Innovation.
exactly. Like it's just, who knows, like it's just trying and just ignoring the voice that says you can't do it. I think that's like a part. Just try. If it's calling you, try it. Anything that it can be, like woodworking, jewelry making, like clay, whatever, is writing, anything, even if you feel like it's not creative, like
Mhm.
try it.
I really love that you're online and discussing creativity because I think it's a really good reminder for us that this is a space that we need to create for ourselves. And so, whether it's 15 minutes a week or you can find a way to eke out more time, somehow, some way, incorporating that actually fuels you, it energizes you. And somehow, when you get 15 minutes and you like those 15 minutes, you make more time. Like you
Yeah,
will make more time.
yeah,
And you're being a model for your children, but you're also giving yourself space to process what's going on at you.
yeah,
And I think, like for me, this is certainly the heart of flow, the LOW I was talking about, finding your voice, listening, owning what matters, and walking in fullness. Creativity thing. It's part of every steps, but I think it's calling us. I'll just say that flow is calling us.
yeah, I agree.
And so, if you are a mom listening to this, I am going to put on a workshop in the upcoming months or upcoming weeks, not months. And so, if you're curious, I'll send you the details. But I think it was in the last few months you had a retreat. Is that right? Focused on creativity?
So I did, yeah, 12 days of soul caring series. That was in December. Yes,
Yeah.
correct. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you'll do that again in December as well.
I might do it again. Yes, I'll see like the bandwidth I have with the magazine. So like, because I'm hoping to do the magazine every season, so like quarterly. But yeah, it's something I really enjoyed doing, and
Yeah.
yeah. So the trick part was to find people to do it.
Mm.
But it was really interesting. Again, like it was such an experience. I mean, I'm sure like is doing like a small business on trying to do lots of different things and
Yeah.
learning from it, right? Uh, and it's just, yeah. So I might do it again, but I'm working on different, yeah, creative things already. Like right now I'm focusing on watercolor, but yeah, I think creative in all different kind of areas is great too.
How often are you going to put out this magazine then?
So every season, so there was one this summer, so the one that's out is summer issue, and so in September the fall issue will come out, and then in December the winter issue, and then in March in the spring. I'll try and do that for now. I think that's giving me enough time. I couldn't do monthly. I think it'll be too much. And I will try to get it print this time because I feel like a lot of people would prefer print. And I do prefer print. It's just a cost issue that was for this one. So I need to look at different printers and stuff to see if I can do it print because I do think it would be like nice to have a print version too, not just digital.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Bring back the magazine.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, so are there any last thoughts or last words of encouragement for homeschool moms that are like, yeah, I don't know if I have the space or time for this, and I don't know what I would do anyway?
Yeah, so I mean the time and space, I think there's a mindset shift to have in that. Like I have a free mini course on that, like 3 days just to reshift and just to see basically is just being intentional.
Mhm.
Like it's not being regimented or I have to do 50 minutes every day and like making it a habit or making it like because it's not going to work. Like it's making more like I feel like that's not working. But if you just make an intentional practice, so like it's intentional and you're gonna choose to do something for you instead. And that's what I always say. If my daughter is gonna watch something, I'm not necessarily gonna go and do the dishes. And my house is probably more messy than a lot of other people's houses, but I'd rather do something for me first and then I'll do other things. But like I'm intentional on what I do and I'll do less things. I clean less things.
Mm.
But I'm happier because I'm able to to do painting almost every day or do something for me almost every day. Obviously, I'm working on my business as well, so that's fills my cup. And so, yeah, just and go little by little, just be intentional. Today, I'm going to try and do 10 minutes or write it in the calendar. Sometimes it helps to have it in the calendar. Like today, at that time, when my child is watching or playing a video game, or that's what I say, like when your kid doesn't need you, like to be there, like nonstop, or like, I mean, some children might need you, but like there are times where you can if they don't directly need you, you can just step away, not do decide not to do a chore, just be intentional. Okay, today I'm not gonna do that now. I might do 10 minutes of whatever I like to do that fills my cup. And then I might do the chores and stuff. So like just being intentional on what you decide to do. Just it's the choice, right?
Yeah, cereal. I think that's really wise. I had a hard time taking that advice at the stage of your daughter is 9, you said, and I couldn't do that then. I was like, the house has got to get clean sometime, so I don't have time for me. And now I don't have the responsibilities. It doesn't look anything like what my early, well, any of my homeschool years looks like, and my early family life. And I want you to all know the dishes are still present with me, and I have a next level. I don't care anymore because I can see what the pattern is. There will be dishes into infinity. I do need them for eating. I do like cleanliness, and I do have a routine that keeps everything generally clean. But I'm with you. The dishes are always with you. So do something that's energizing in the meantime. It was a real pleasure chatting with you. And actually, you didn't even mention your podcast. You also are found on podcast.
Yes, I did a podcast. Thank you for having me. Like it's so nice to talk about that. Like I could talk for hours on on that topic. But yeah, I do have a podcast. It's on pause right now. I haven't released any new episodes, but it's creativity with serial chats like that right now. Like we're talking about unschooling, creativity. Yeah, and I have a subscription for moms if they want just to be on watercolor. So it's just a monthly subscription, very low pressure. That's what I want to bring is that what we're talking about, like no pressure. You don't need to beginner friendly. Just try.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And thank you for having a chat with me. I hope you
Thank
have
you.
everyone, and definitely connect us or connect with us in the DMs. What I'd love to hear is how you actually incorporate creativity into your days. Let us know. And I hope you have a beautiful week. We'll see you next week, 1 p.m. Pacific, in the Homeschool Mom Chat. Thanks, Serial, for being here.
Thank you, Teresa. Bye.